Gentleman yields. This fun transition, I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. We want to thank all of you again for being here. Sincere gratitude for what you do, what you believe in, the rule of law, the services that are provided to this country, what you represent. We honor your courage. We honor those who have lost their lives doing what I can't imagine. You know, it's one thing to leave your family for extended periods of time. It's another thing to leave your family knowing when you walk out that door whether or not that day's circumstances would allow you to re-enter that family dynamic. This week, of course, we're recognizing law enforcement and police during Police Week, and we acknowledge these challenges. And our nation is facing a crisis because of a culture of lawlessness that's been advanced because of a belief system that's taken hold. And it's a rebellious type atmosphere that highest leaders of our country are bolstering because we're not in solidarity standing up for respect of authority, respect of the rule of law. And we see this, with the defund the police movement that's, just wreaking havoc. It's, as I listened this morning, you all talking about your recruitment, lack of ability to encourage for just the loss of morale, knowing that people from the highest positions of authority have your back. Specifically, what I hear in Oklahoma is our flood of drugs that have come into this country with this, heightened because of what's happening at the southern border in Oklahoma. Sadly, we had an initiative petition that under the guise of recreational marijuana brought marijuana in Oklahoma. I'm not proud of this stat. I don't think as a majority. You will find there's pride in this of Oklahomans, but we export more marijuana than any other state because of this ballot initiative that came in. And it's the tie then for the cartel seizing upon that and sending drugs into our state. So let me do this. For Sheriff Chapman and President Bullock, how has this problem of drugs flowing in affected you and what you're seeing?
We had to address the community directly with regards to the overdoses that we saw at the school. We had 9 overdoses in a period of about 3 weeks of students that were affiliated or the students at the school, 4 of which happened in the school, 3 of which required Narcan, 2 of which required CPR, so it was quite serious. And what we find is that there's a reluctance to try to get that information out. We did our own press release, and it caused a little bit of a stir, but what that did was it really prompted Governor Youngkin to immediately put an executive order and requiring a 24-hour notification of 2 parents of that school in the event that somebody overdosed. That was then later put forward as legislation, and it didn't really pass the way it should have passed with the 24-hour notification, which was actually taken out, which was the whole purpose of the bill. But it does impact us in the sense that, as I mentioned earlier, we're seeing younger people doing this. We want to protect our children. We want to make sure we got a safe community. And that's my biggest concern is with the fentanyl, the proliferation of it, the availability of it, and the impact that it's having on our youth.
Mr. Bullock, can I transition? And just because I actually have a question, I think that I can help me move the narrative given limited time. You talked about the morale issue. I think earlier today you talked about since 2018, you've had a loss of more officers than you've had the ability to recruit them. And so, number one, would you speak to how defund the police movement has impacted the morale? And then talk about the dollar loss that you've also seen that's contributed.
Well, I'd say it's all tied together because the defunding movement, as well as the taking away of money from our department overall, means that we have less.
When you say I apologize for interrupting, when you're talking about the loss of funding, specifically you're addressing your state the state of Texas having to shift resources to secure our southern border, billions of dollars, federal responsibility, And that is having an impact because the state is no longer able to help you financially as they were prior. Please continue
correct.
on.
Yeah, it's a correct characterization. But, I mean, when you're talking about the defunding movement overall, a lot of it ties into everything else that you're talking about, in that we have people that do not support officers when they are trying to enforce the law. And so the arrests that they make are tossed out by prosecutors, and so people wind up reoffending. There's no accountability for criminal activity, and so there's a perpetuation of crime that's going on that is leading to no type of intervention. And that ties in directly with fentanyl overdoses. It ties in with officers being exposed to deadly substances, and that all has a dramatic effect on how officers feel they're able to do their job, almost to the comment of, well, what's the point?
Well, thank you so very much. You'd think sitting in the chair you could yield yourself more time, but I won't do that to my colleague who's next. And so thank you for answering those questions.